Hi friends! Welcome to Wednesdays with Whitney. Today's guest needs no introduction because she is Facebook and Instagram famous here in Des Moines. This is Karla Walsh, if you guys didn't already know. You already knew, right?
Hi guys.
Yay, hi!
Hello! Cheers!
Cheers!
Thanks for having me.
Yay! We are having Gung Fu's Jasmine Dragon Pearl Tea.
Delightful. Hot or cold?
Gosh, I mean, it's now cold, but it was hot a while ago. So today we've just decided to have lady chat time, and you get to join us. So we were just talking about how a year ago at this exact time we had dinner at Luca, and you were transitioning to being full-time freelancer, all the time.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I just put in my notice at work. I've been at Meredith for 10 years and was trying to take a leap at the time and was in just a totally different headspace. You know, I was 10 pounds lighter, stressed to the nines.
Yeah.
Thinking that I was falling into the abyss. I was well, if I need to work at Starbucks, I can.
Yeah. And all of those things that go into your mind when you're about to take a risk, oh my gosh, what is my backup plan for my dream? Because we do that, right? It's
totally.
I remember when I started Ivory House and I was okay, I'm doing this crazy thing in a community where I know no one. I can always go get a job, right?
Yeah.
And why do we do that to ourselves?
Well, I always had this prerequisite that I would take the leap to full-time freelance when I was married, and then I was well, you don't wait for anybody else to do anything else. You bought a house, you sold a house, you went on a trip internationally, you do all these other things by yourself. Yeah. Why is this the one thing that requires somebody to be like your Superman?
Yeah. I mean, and actually, I didn't know that part of the story, and that's real. Yeah. That is real, because the things that we're scared of, insurance,
a safety net of a second income,
another income, somebody else to help you out, and I hear that. I mean, I started my business, there was no, I was living with my mother. Thanks, Mom. Hi, Michelle. But even that, I was I'm living with my mom. And, I was there for 3 months, and I was, as soon as I had the wherewithal to get in a place of my own, because, but I had that thought of who am I to go start a business without a safety net? And then a year later, I'm who was I to think that I couldn't start a business without a safety net?
You have to flip that coin and be well, why not? What is the worst that could happen? You go get another job. You've made it work. You've overcome things in the past. Yeah,
well, and I also think about, quite honestly, there's no one that my decisions affected other than me.
Exactly.
And still, to this day, I get to, there's the beautiful part about, starting something completely solo is that at the end of the day, if I make a bad money decision, I'm the only one that needs to know about it.
Exactly.
And if I make a great money decision, then I get to know about it. Vacations, yes. So tell me, from what was that risk like? Tell me about the first 2 to 3 months of business ownership. What pit did you fall into?
Oh, many pits. I actually talk about this all the time at Psycho Bar, where I teach now, because I started there because of the hummingbirds, actually.
Because of the hummingbirds.
2 weeks after I quit my job, right? Yeah. So I signed up for this because I have a background in fitness, and I love that. I post about it sometimes anyways. Yep. But it turned into so much more than that, because it was really hard to make the transition from working around hundreds of people every day to working all by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And I was lonely. And so that was one of the big lessons, was finding a community and finding a place where you could go be around human energy during the day. And that gave me strength in other ways that have just been awesome. Yeah. But just mentally too, of just feeling stronger, feeling more confident, stuff like that. But that was one of the things, that I needed to find ways to be around humans still. So I started booking up plans every night so that I'd have a reason to put on pants and show up.
Do leggings count?
Pants with a button, maybe.
I was about ready to do a high leg kick to show you my leggings, but we'll pass. Okay, continue.
That would be fabulous.
We
So I started being very deliberate about being around people, because it can be very isolating to work for yourself and to work from home.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be efficient with how I was using my time, because I know that if I worked in like a communal workspace or a coffee shop, I'd just be talking to everybody all the time. And I was like, well, if I use my time and I kind of consolidate and be efficient with the batch work that I do during the day, then I can have evenings to go do this other thing. I can go to spin class at 9:30 because my boss approves my time off. So,
stamped.
So it was kind of finding that balance between work and life that was a really big struggle at the start, because I felt like I needed to be working all the time. And there's no reason not to when you don't have a family that tells you, you know, it's 6 o'clock, we're going to dinner, or, you know, something like that. So,
and I think really one of the hardest parts is that you realize that opportunity is endless. The amount, if you're lucky, and we both have been very lucky, and not lucky, I don't believe in that, let's be clear. Luck is whatever.
Things have aligned
You
nicely.
get luckier as you show up more. So, you know, we are both people who are fortunate to have a lot of opportunities come our way. And you can say yes, you can say no, you can say not now. But when it's just you really have to, I really had to learn how to fight for me being the reason to say no.
Right, and it's hard to say no, like, because if you can help them take a thing off their plate, or you know, provide a service for them that they need, like a great photo. It's nice to be able to help solve a problem, to say yes. Like, I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I'm a 2, you know? Like, let me just help you. Let me take care. For all of you guys who don't know that reference, Karla and I talk a lot about our Enneagrams. If you haven't taken this test yet, friends, get on board. So Karla's a 2, I'm an 8. Go do the test and let us know later. Yes, we would love to hear what number you are. Leave it in the comments. Tell us everything. So anyway, it's really hard to say no, but that was another big lesson that I've learned this year, is that like, your time is a precious resource, and you can say no. You can also negotiate, because I never learned that before, and it's really a valuable skill to have, because if you can do a great job and people trust you to do good work, you turn it around, you deserve. You're making their life easier. It's often not their money that they're having to dole out anyways. And so if you can do a great job and you have a reason behind it, like, hey, I'm doing this rush project, or I'm going to interview 3 extra experts, and it's going to be a really bang up piece, then you provide extra value. You show your worth, and they should invest. And if they don't, then like they may say no. That's not so bad. You have other stuff. Exactly. And I think the idea of, as entrepreneurs, we get to ask for our worth. And that means knowing our worth. And that means, like, sometimes fighting for our worth. And we shouldn't, but I think the fight is actually our worth within ourselves. I very rarely had to do that outside of myself. But the internal thing is like, what do I charge? What do I charge? What do I charge? And it's also, if you need a little like boost as you're getting started with negotiation, I often think back to, okay, well, what does this mean for like somebody who's in my shoes in some other state that's doing this? You know, like if we all devalue our brand, then they think that the going rate for like a story with a bunch of interviews and research is $50. Like, no, this takes way more time than that. And like, it needs to be priced appropriately. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you get a pizza that is $1.99, what is that pizza made with, right? Like, it's not the best ingredients, but like if you go get a great pizza from like a local shop with like Graziano sausage, it's going to be $20, and you're investing in quality. And you are eating that thing. Happily. Pizza. And not thinking about what it costs. You know the things that you buy that you literally just don't even think about what it costs? Like, you might think about it. You might have that moment where you're like, what did I just do? But then you're like, and I don't care. Worth it. It's worth it. And I think having the confidence that the things that we produce are things that people at the end of the day, like, yes, they might have invested. Yes, it might have been a piece of their income. But I have a lot of faith that at the end of the day, what I am putting out in the world, people have stopped thinking about how much it costs pretty much immediately after they have it in their hands. And that is my big goal, that like, it's no longer about money. Because yes, we're all here, like, money is a transactional space that we place value on, but that is not what we're providing. Like, you know, for me, I'm like, I want to provide a comfortable place for people to be seen and heard in all aspects of what I do in the world. If I'm speaking, if I'm photographing, if I'm helping with strategy, all of that stuff. And what about for you? Ooh, I want to educate and inspire people through written and spoken word.
Yes. Write that down.
Yeah.
So good. So let's talk a little bit about, this is a good transition. Let's talk a little bit about personal branding. And because you are somebody that I knew about before I knew you.
Right.
And you were one of the first
Same.
people that I met. Yeah, we knew about each other. And what I'm realizing more and more is that it's not who you know. Like, so the old adage is, it's not who you know, or it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I'm actually taking that a step further, and I'm saying it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Right?
That's such a good point.
I think about the people, there are people in this community that I know because they've done such a bang up job of being stellar humans.
Yeah.
They might not know me, or maybe they do.
You never know.
And we just haven't crossed paths.
Yeah.
But the fact that people now, like, I knew you, I knew what you were about, I knew that you loved food, I knew that you were enthusiastic, I knew tons of things about you before we met.
Tend to overshare just a touch.
Yeah, just a little, but whatever, me too. And I know that people know things about me, but that means that when somebody has a project, I have so many people that have never even met me that reach out to me with opportunities. Some of those things I say yes to, some of those things I can't say yes to, but the fact that I am someone that people reach out to that they've never even met, because they think that I might, like, it's just such a blessing.
It's amazing. It's such a connector, and it's also really, really awesome to feel that, like, you can be yourself. You have nothing to hide in any avenue that you show up in, whether it's social media or real life. Like, you've been your real self there, and like, you kind of weed out the people that like naturally wouldn't be interested in being friends with you because they know what you're about, right? Because you're being yourself in all of the ways that you show up.
Absolutely. And that's what I love. The word authenticity is like, it's like, it's so overused right now, but it is still the right word. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, because when I think about authenticity, I think of it as just like, when you exhale, what are you exhaling? Like, when you let something out of yourself, what is the most true thing?
Such a good way to phrase it,
And like, when I think about authenticity, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't mean sharing everything. To me, that's not what that means. To me, that means showing up with a consistent energy that's completely and totally mine. And then people know what that looks like. And they know what I'm going to be interested in. And they know they're, like, for me, I'm like, people are going to know if they're going to be annoyed by me immediately, because I've been here a lot.
Right,
so,
exactly.
But it does a great job of just like, kind of, I don't have to do the work of selecting.
It curates.
Yes, thank you for saying that way better. And I think that's really what, for me, putting my personal self out on the social worlds has done, is that it's brought people that feel similarly to me.
Exactly. I often have people reach out and they're like, hey, I read a column that you wrote about XYZ. I felt the same way. Let's grab coffee. And it's like, okay, sure. Like, why not? Like, new connections, new friends. Let's do it. That sounds lovely.
And then new opportunities and new, I think about this, like, I may meet someone once and maybe I just meet them. Maybe they become a client. Maybe this person becomes my best friend. Maybe this person, we go on a date. Maybe who knows? But that is like, I try not to enter any relationship experience with an expectation.
Preconceived notions.
Because I think that like, when you go into coffee dates, I get a lot of requests for, like, and I'm sure you do too, like the pick your brain coffee dates. And I've started to reframe that for people. Because it sets up this expectation that I'm the only one that has something to offer. And I'm like, I want to go into coffee dates mutually. It's really important to me. Otherwise, I energetically don't want to show up for that. If it's a one-way street. So when people are reaching out to me that way, I really I kind of challenge them back, which I'm an 8, so let's go back to the Enneagram, and like that makes a lot of sense. But how do you feel about, like, when people reach out, how do you like to be contacted?
That's a really great point. Going back to the stranger contact thing, making great friends, Danny Byer and I met, like, we were Facebook friends. And have become best friends. So you never know what's going to come from it. I've been contacted via email, via Facebook message, pretty much in real life. People have come up to me and they're like, hey, we're Facebook friends, and I feel like really bad if I don't remember that, but grace, forgiveness, right? Any way is fine. I just am trying to be better about being deliberate with when I use my technology. Yeah. So as long as you're not in a rush.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better about not responding to everything like right this second.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me, it's like whichever way is reached out, but like I want to know that they're in it too.
Yes.
Like that whoever's reaching out to me is like, hey, this is something I want to share with you.
Yeah.
I want to be shared with.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think it's really nice also if they're excited about it enough to keep the schedule.
Yeah.
Like I've had many times where people like want to do pick your brain coffees and then it gets bumped like 4 times or something, and it's just kind of challenging to like puzzle into the schedule.
But again, I'm an 8.
It's always fabulous to meet new people, and I respect that, reaching out to somebody that you just want to get to know. Like, that's awesome.
Love it. So for those out there, we've got 2 topics going today. We've got launching into, transition in my brain. So when you were thinking about transitioning into your business, you had already built this personal brand.
Yes.
If there are people in a similar boat right now, they want a change, but they don't know what it is. And I see this a lot. People want something different. It may be a business, it may be a different position. What is advice that you can give to them that can help them build a pathway towards that next opportunity?
So one of the things that I thought about a lot when I was thinking about the projects that I would want to do when I was my own boss was thinking about the things that bring me joy if I wasn't even getting paid by doing them. So like leading cooking classes, or writing about something that I'm super passionate about, or interviewing people who are really smart and doing cool research. Like
what I'm doing right now.
Oh, it's just really nice to be like, okay, what do I find fun? What do I like to do for hobbies? And like using that as inspiration. So writing down potential options that are ways that you can make money doing that. Like I often have just kind of rolled into other things just coincidentally because of people are like, hey, it seems like you could do this. And a lot of the times you just fake it till you make it. You're like, yeah, I can figure that out. That's cool. Or let me learn along the way, because if you trust me to do it, there must be some quality that I have that can be useful. Yeah. So kind of thinking about the things that bring you joy, because it's so much better to wake up in the morning when you're like excited about the day to come and you're like, well, what do I get to do today? And like you're excited to get out of bed, rather than like, oh, let me press snooze again and again and again, and like, oh, is it Friday yet? You know, like all of my days are fun days. I don't have like a Mondays.
Yeah, I'm like, well, my Monday kind of looks like my Sunday.
I know,
so
it's all kind of great.
It's all kind of the same. But I love that and that's advice I give very frequently. If you want to do something different, start showing us you can do something different. So I didn't show up on this planet as a personal brand strategist, but that's totally what I am now.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it's, I started as showing photography, and then I started showing that I really cared about my community, and I showed people. I didn't tell people like I care about community. Like what we know, show don't tell, right?
Yeah.
So like that meant that I got to start showing up as a community leader. People started calling me a community leader, public speaker, and I was like, I'm a what? And I think that that's the really cool thing, is once you start really diving in and sharing the things that you love on these social platforms, people start calling you things, and you get to pick what resonates.
Yeah.
So like when people started calling me a community leader, I was like, first of all, flattered and honored, and that was amazing. But then I got to lean into that even more.
Right.
I got to hear it, I got to choose it, and then I got to build on it.
And make it a brand and business.
Make it a whole brand and business.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. That was kind of like how I felt about like my relationship with doing restaurants. Is I just eat out way more than a normal human should, but I consider it research, so it's fine.
It's totally research.
Because I sometimes write about food, and then all of a sudden, like my editor at DSM was so lovely, and she was like, "We can't think of any. Like, you would be awesome to write this whole guide about Des Moines things." And
you're like, a copy of that, by the way.
Okay. I heard that they might have ran out of the they're sprinting, but I have like 10 at my house, so if you guys
need
to
drive there after this. Okay, continue.
I never thought that I would have been asked to write like a guide to Des Moines, but I was just out there living it, doing it, and they were like, "You can do it," and I'm like, "I can."
Mm-hmm.
If you believe I can, I can. Yeah. Yes, I will gladly accept. And you just have those moments where you're like, oh, you believe I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally do. Yep, all along I was here. Yep, totally.
Just showing up for that opportunity. So I love that. I think that's a beautiful way to wrap this up today.
Yeah.
That we get to show up.
Say yes.
Yeah, say yes to ourselves first. Because I mean, a lot of this journey is simply saying yes to the fact that we get to show up in these spaces.
Yeah.
And people believing that people want to hear what we have to say.
Yeah.
And then believing that we get to also create income out of simply being who we are and what we're passionate about.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like work anymore, and that's such a blessing.
Such a blessing. Cheers,
Cheers
babe.
To you.
Yes,
to a really
absolutely.
Good 2019.
To a really good 2019.
Even better
and
2020.
Oh my gosh, 2020 is going to be off the hook. So I just said off the hook. Let's ignore that. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.